Hi, this is James Scott, Born in the Bayou. In this episode, we're going to be doing a preview of Beta Red. It's a cyberpunk role-playing game designed by Scott Oles, published by Heroic Studios Gaming. Now, you probably recognize Scott Oles from some of my other videos. He was the designer of the Maximum Apocalypse role-playing game. And this one, Scott decided to design a new game, and he gave me an opportunity to preview it, and I absolutely fell in love with this game. So let's go ahead and look at it. Beta Red is the name of a drug which was used to help stop organ rejection. Ended up having a side effect where it allowed the human body to become receptive to biomechanical implants, or as he calls them, augmentations. Now, this is allows everyone to, all your characters to literally augment anything, any skills or abilities, and this cyberpunk type setting. This game is going to be done with D6s mostly. You're going to need some of the other dice, but it's almost everything is D6. And he uses a system we calls the Scripe P, which is strength, compassion, reaction, intelligence, toughness, expression, and then psyche. Because 1% of the population was able to use psychic powers after they were given this drug. That one starts at 0. The rest of them all start at 1. So the other stats are set at 1, and then you will raise them up with your background and your roles and your augmentations. Now you want to keep those raised, because if a certain amount of them get below 2, they get back down to the 1, you are no longer considered usable to society, and you are removed and remade. Which with adds to some possible plots, some conspiracies and all that could be really great. Like I said, the game is done with D6s, so your stats determine your pool of dice, however many D6s you're going to roll. Your skill determines your hit limit, or the number you need to roll at or below. Ones always hit, because all skills start at 1, but they also explode. And by when I mean explode is if you roll 1, that counts as a hit, and you re-roll it for a possible another hit, and you keep, if you roll another one, you keep exploding, you keep going and going and going. 6 is always miss. All skills are restricted from 1 to 5. Your stats they can vary. They dependent on your species. Now you'll have a target number. Now on the average, you will need 2 you'll need 2 hits. So let's say I wanted a stealth, and the game master said, well, okay, well, there's some bright lights in this room, so it's going to be a little bit harder. Your target number is 3. So we look at, okay, well, I have 3 stealth, so my hit limit is going to be 3, so I need to roll 3s or less on my dice, and I have a reaction of 3, because my stealth skill says it's determined by reaction. So I look at my reaction of 3, so that gives me 3 dice to roll. So I'm going to roll these 3 dice, and oh, look here, I got 2 successes, but one of those successes is a 1. Like I said, it explodes, so I'll re-roll that 1. So I got the 2 successes, re-roll the 1, and see, oh, I got another 2. That ends up being 3 successes. I succeed. Now, if you're one that not the best at dice, he also has a system set in here called feedback. If for some reason you fail at your skill roll, you get a feedback point. You start every game session with 2 feedback, and then later can earn those feedbacks from every time you fail, or also anytime you have good role playing or you do something really not great, the game master may reward those. Now, what feedback is used for automatic successes, and I really love that. So you got one of those, I really got to make this shot. I got 5 feedback I've been storing up, because I had some really bad rolls earlier, but and I also had some good role playing. All right, Game Master, what? Oh, I need 5 successes. Well, guess what? I'm going to spend all 5 feedback. I'm not even going to roll. Boom, it's an automatic hit. I like that. It allows that person that's really having that bad day of bad rolls, you still got that chance later on to have that shot or make that shot when it really counts. And that happens with any, it's not just shooting, it's also for any skills. Another great thing about his game is the creation. He uses a similar system he used before, in which when you create your character, it's very streamlined, quick and easy. First, you pick your species. There's humans, robots, psychic, and clones. You pick your background. You pick your role. And then you pick your augmentations. You calculate your defense. You get your gear, and you're good to go. Less than a half hour, even on your first character or two. It's easily done, and I really like that. It really makes it really good. Also too, when you do these, you're doing your species, background, and role. After you got those done, you got a good idea of how your character is fleshing out, and you already got a good backstory for your character. You just need to flesh it out a little bit, and I like that. I love when games do that type of system. It really makes for better characters. Now, what I was saying earlier about having those extra dice, and also he has whenever ammo usage, and well, there's also used in like with some like drugs and stuff. Now, what I mean by ammo usage is instead of keeping track of how many bullets you got, and you're going out there, oh, I got 50 rounds and pop. What you do is you buy a certain ammo die. So let's say I bought a D12 ammo die. So every time I roll to hit, I also roll that D12. Anytime I roll, as long as I don't roll the max number on that die, in this case the D12, if I roll a 12, then that means I used up a bunch of my ammo, and I drop down to the next one. So a D12 goes down to a D10. D10 goes down to a D8, D8 down to a D6, and then from a D6, if you roll a 6 on the D6, you're out of ammo. So this is a really neat system. It allows you to keep the game flowing without having to sit there and keep track of exactly how many bullets you're burning through. It really is great on automatic weapons because you're firing a burst, you're firing full auto. You're just rolling those ammo die, and oh, I got it. And it's a really nice system. And on each and then for the turns, on each player's turn, after you roll your initiative, you're gonna roll a d6 on initiative, and you're all gonna go. If there's ties, you still go, but they're simultaneous, except for if you're the game master, the moderator. The game master always goes, or the moderator always goes last. Bad guys goes last. So, and then the players get to decide on ties which one of them. And on your turn, you get to do a complex action, a movement action, and then 2 bonus actions. And bonus actions is stuff like use a healing thing, or reload ammo, or a shout at somebody. Just simple little actions. And so you got enough that you can really do a lot, but not too much where you can just sit there and, oh, I'm going to hit a heal. It's not unlimited free actions or bonus actions. Now, let's look at combat. Again, very simplified. You're going to have a target number that you're going to need to hit that player. And he's going to determine, and you're going to use a skill. So if you want to say use blast, which is your general shoot skill, I'm going to use blast. And if you look at blast, it says my target number is 2. So I need 2s to hit. I need 2 hits to hit my target. Now, this could be modified by distances, weather conditions, different types of conditions can modify that, but that's a general thing. And then I'm going to look at you see it says it's determined by shoot. So I'm going to go look at shoot, and shoot is based off reaction. So my reaction is 3, so I'm going to have 3 dice to roll. Shoot skill is a 2, so my hit limit is 2, so I need 2s and 1s to roll, and I need at least 2 successes on a general shot to hit that person. It's really simple. Once you got it, it may sound a little complicated, but it's really simple. And once you got it a few times, it allows a nice fast flowing combat. Now what happens on the other side for your defense? Well, you have soak. You have soak dice, and you're going to actually soak up a certain amount of the damage. Now, what is your soak dice? Well, you're going to have your target number, and how many dice you're going to roll is going to be dependent on your species. The humans, psychics, and clones, they soak on 2s and 1s. Robots soak on 3s. That's why I do like that. The fact that the reason why the robots have a little advantage is because they don't heal like humans do. So you actually got to repair those. So their healing's done. So it really balances out. Now, when you go to soak, you're going to have a soak pool, but the things that also add to the amount of dice you roll is, are you in cover? So the more cover you're in, the more dice you're going to roll. Also, are you wearing armor? And the armor is going to allow for so many dice, add more dice. So you may have a lot of dice to try to soak up this damage. It's really great system. Again, really simple, fast. You just roll the dice. How much damage you do? Okay, let me see how many I soak. I take that much damage. Now, when you take damage, you'll drop down on your hit points. When your hit points hit 0, you go unconscious. Once you're unconscious, you're going to start bleeding out if you go below 0. Now, as you go down with 0, you're going to have to do saves. I hadn't mentioned saves, but there's different types of saves depending on what. But there's 3 types of saves, which I'll get to in a sec. But you're going to keep going on these rolls every turn as your character's bleeding out until somebody can heal them or get your health back up. At any time you succeed on your body save, you're going to stabilize and your character's going to sit at 0. But the problem is as you bleed out, the more you bleed out, the harder it is for your character to stabilize. So you're going to want to stabilize that person right away. Now, I was saying on the saves. Most games, you usually have a stat or 2, which we usually refer to as dump stats. This game, Scott decided to do is he wanted to make sure each of your stats are pretty important. So some of these stats on your sprite may not seem very important at first, but you're not going to be able to do good saves on various stuff. So you do want a good balanced character in this game, and because all stats are going to matter in one save or another. Now, just like in combat, he has broken down each of his other sections of his game into almost like a type of combat. You have cracking, which is used for computers. So if you want to break into that electronic lock, you're cracking it. You are basically going to be doing a combat with that computer, and you use a similar type of system, as you can see with these skills. And I really like that. It carries over, and it's going to also carry over into running / driving. This is whenever you're in chases, you're basically almost like a combat, but with chasing in the cars, and you're at the same type of skill setup. It works the same thing with talking. So if you're going to interrogating, or if you're in a courtroom battle, if you're in an argument with somebody, you are basically doing a verbal combat, and you're going to be using the talking skills to attack the other player back and forth. And then, of course, then you have psyche, which is it's psychic powers, kind of almost magic. Some of the weird stuff goes on around, and That's another section, and again, using the same basic simple rules. So once you've gotten used to it, you've got pretty much used to the whole game. If you notice, I haven't mentioned one thing I haven't mentioned that's in most games is experience, leveling. Well, there isn't none. Your character is your character. You create and you do with as you please. There is no levels of the game. There is no really class to the game. You are what you want to be, which is fantastic. I love games. I hate when they shoehorn you in, going, "Oh, you're this fighter where you have to take these skills or you have to do this." No, you can be whatever you want because everything you do and leveling your character, or it's not really leveling, it's you augment. So when your game master rewards your player, he's going to reward them with money that they can use to buy augmentations. You have major augmentations, which have changed your stats, and minor augmentations, which add to your skills. So you can spend your money on these augmentations and increase the amount of dice you want, or increase your target number, or I'm sorry, your hit limit for those dice. So it's a great little balance. Do you want the better equipment, or do you want the better stats so you can roll more dice, or do you want the better skill where when you roll those dice, you need the lower number or higher numbers or successes. So it's a good balance of amount of dice you roll, the percentage chance you're going to have based off your hit limit number, and it's a really great system again. Then you go down in the back, towards the back of the book, he has quick setting generator. So if you happen to be, no players ever do exactly what you want. Let's say they decide to go this section of town and you haven't prepared for that section of town. Well, in the back of the book, he has a bunch of these little charts where you roll a handful of D6s and you go along the chart and it will tell you the type of area you're in or the type of town they traveled to. So if you don't have to sit there on the fly of trying to figure some of this stuff out. He's got these nice little charts, which I love. It really makes it simple on the moderator when everybody wants to do something. You're trying to look around the room, trying to figure out what it is. You just roll real quick, and there it is. And Scott has also included an optional rules for what he calls cinematics. And now what cinematics are is this allows you to condense those boring kind of legwork parts of the game in which, let's say, somebody needs to go get false IDs for the mission, or somebody needs to go get some vehicles for the mission. It allows, instead of taking all this, an hour or so to role play out all of that, it allows those to be condensed and done only in a few dice rolls. So after a few minutes, you can get right back to the meat of the mission or the game. And it's a nice little option in there so that if your group, especially if your group's playing late and all that, and you just want to get on with the mission, you don't really care to do all that little boring stuff, you can go ahead and just do those dice rolls, get your IDs, get your vehicles, or if there's some problems that happen during the dice rolls, take care of them, and get back to the main part of the game. And I really like that. It's a nice little option in there. And then finally, in the very back of the book, Scott has put in a handful of scenarios. Now these are a few 2-3 page little scenarios, which are great little scenarios for pickup games, or you can even base your campaign off of them. But they're great for the moderator. If you had a quick game, you didn't quite have anything prepared, you can go ahead, look at these scenarios. Gives you all the basics that you need as a moderator to run the game and to set it up. And it's really nice setup. It's not full of details, but it's enough there that once you read through it in 15 minutes or so, you should be up and running with a good game session. And I really like that he put those in there without, in that book. So, again, I really love this whole thing as all. It's a a simple dice system using the D6s that's carried throughout the whole game. You know, there's not multiple different systems. I really like that. The characters are so customizable. The lack of leveling, where you basically you're free to create your character as it is. The combat, I mean, it's just a really good streamlined game, and I can't say more of how much I enjoy this game. So this is James Scott, Boar in the Bayou. Remember to comment, like, and subscribe below, and make sure you kickstart this game. Thank you.